Good evening, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and we are here tonight to be treated. But before we get to the treat, we are going to go with my good buddy who's always here, my wingman, my Iceman. We have Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics right over here. How you doing, sir?
That's right. I am T. Oh wait, that's your role.
Just
I
on
don't
this one, right?
You can be my wingman anytime. I don't know.
These guys are two of my favorite guys on YouTube right here.
Well, gosh, give
wonderful
that man a
people.
raise.
Just make sure you keep sending me the payments, all right?
I'm gonna
Right,
say,
yeah.
the good thing our money's good.
That's right.
All right, guys.
Said, as long as you don't change your email address, the PayPal's continue to go through.
And the man of the hour, the guy here to share books, the guy who before the show said that the show with DJ Lynx was trash, the Matt Woods show was trash, every show before this was trash, and he's here to blow them all out of the water. We have Joe
With
from
nothing but
Anachronic
modern
Comics.
books.
You know, I sent emails and stuff to almost everybody. I said, I want to beat Gary B's live viewer record for this show, which I think was 19. So
Yes.
if I don't beat it, you guys, Bruno's going to come after you. I know where you live, you know. So let's get some people out here. I want to get at least to 20. Let's make it 25.
Right. And let's say hi to some of the people that are joining us.
Yeah,
tonight.
let's
we
do it.
have Matt Woods,
Woo!
Squirrel Madness. Welcome
That's
to the
Wayne.
channel, sir. Chris Bailey,
Wayne.
welcome to the channel and the madness, I guess. All right, we have A Surfer. Good evening, buddy. Another great supporter in our community. He shows up everywhere, always giving support. He is awesome. We have Brian LCS. Good evening, sir. And he is going to be on this show in the future as well. And we have, we got Squirrel Madness. We have Freaky Louie. How you doing, sir?
Louie.
We have Jerry the Jitterbug. Good evening, sir. And right now, and we just had the Rogue Trader.
Yep.
Good evening. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining us. And we are going to get this show rolling. So, Joe, you said that you were excited for this, that you were going to pick out some great books. And we all know the vastness of your collection.
Before we start, I just want to say, looking at there, Happy Flag Day, USA. Happy
Yes,
Flag
sir.
Day today. Hope you ever get up early in the morning, put your flag out. All right. That's what I did. You know, so
Mine's out all the time.
even in the rain.
It's lit and it's covered.
Okay. You got to make sure it's lit at night because I
Yep.
do the same thing. All
Yep.
right. That's my man. All the former Boy Scouts.
Scouts,
Boy
yeah.
Scouts know what they're doing.
Well, Joe, I thought it was very appropriate to have you on Flag Day. So I was really happy that you agreed to come on it.
Thank you.
But without further ado, though,
You're adorable.
I want to get into who's adorable.
I said rain in California. He's adorable. Did you heard? We don't have any water.
Right.
That's true.
Oh, goodness. All right. We're already off the rails. Let's rein her back in. Joe, let's get into a book because I know you promised some hot books, some good books, and I'm anxious to see a little.
Shouldn't we let him introduce himself and his channel first there, Gary?
Absolutely. I see I'm too excited. Joe,
Oh my
for those
God.
touching on the rewind,
I
so
just thrown
selfish.
Gary off completely. That's
Oh
it.
my God. He's usually all about everybody else, except for
I
you.
am.
For some reason, he doesn't.
No,
care
I know.
about
I'm
you
right.
guys.
I'm just off. That's it. Forget about this phase 3 stuff, that's going on.
that's why I got a co-host, because if I go off the rails, he can rein me back in. He knows the drill.
So
Before
my
we
name
get
is
to the books,
Joe.
Joe, for those
My
watching,
channel is Anachronic Comics. I started it on a dare from some of the people that are in the chat here tonight. I mostly show, I was showing a lot of different things, but I mostly show comics from my collection. And I have a couple of repeating shows. I have what I call the Espresso Mail Call. I don't do it every Monday like somebody else's on this screen.
That's more affordable not to.
That's right. And I have the comics my mom let me keep, of which I will show some tonight. My mom was a beautiful woman, but when we moved, she said I had to get rid of some comics, and I did. Don't ask me which ones they were, and I don't think it was AF-15. I know. I
It's,
think I
it's
got rid of that
best not to think about it, probably,
See,
anyways.
I was waiting for
That's
the
right.
sequel to that series, the books I didn't tell my mom I kept.
Yeah. And the last Friday of every month, with a bunch of the guys that are on this on the chat right now, we have a pretty good show, I think, called
It's a
the Comic
phenomenal
Book
show.
You know, where we
Don't kid
take a
yourself.
particular issue and we kind of kill it to death. And I have to say, most of these guys are about 25 years younger than I am, or 35 years younger than I am, so they really don't know what they're talking about most of the time. So I have to kind of set them straight during the show. But otherwise, it's pretty interesting, and people seem to like it. I mean, we get into a lot of different things. People learn some stuff about it. I learned stuff about it when we're there. I think we all do. So that's going to be on the 24th. And now and then, this guy Bruno shows up and opens up a mystery box. As a matter of fact, he's going to be on tomorrow. I didn't buy any more mystery boxes, so Bruno got pissed and spent his own money, which it's amazing. But he spent his own money.
Well, it's always nice when you let him out of the basement, Joe.
Yeah, and he got one from Nick's Kicks and Comics. So I think it might be a good one. So that's me. So you want to get started?
As he feels old, does that count?
Yeah. No, Wayne. You guys are youngsters.
And guys, anyone watching on the rewind, also Joe's links and my co-host links are in the description below. So if you're watching the show, you like what you see, please sub everybody up. Everyone has great programs on their show and on their channel, and just a lot of fun to be had out there. All different.
Yeah, and don't forget Gary too. I mean, Gary's a great. His shows are just tremendous. I mean, I just spend so much time watching his shows. I have no time for my wife, so divorce is in the offing. But you know what? I'm going to keep watching the show.
It's totally worth it.
So
let's get started, okay?
Yeah, we've been so off script tonight. It doesn't.
I know that's okay. So I'm sorry. I'm trying not to take over your show.
No, you're good, man.
Here's the story. Here's the story. All right. I am.
Instead of a man named Brady.
I am an older gentleman, and
get out of town.
I started collecting comics probably when I was around 9 or 10 years old. So here I am, and I was like 9 or 10 years old in 1960 and 1961, guys. So you can add all those numbers up. So here I am, and so in 1960, 61, we're not too far removed from the golden age, right? And we're only a few years away from the start of the Silver Age, right? And and the new Flash and the Green Lantern and Justice League and all these comics coming in. So it was a wonderful time to be a young guy and get comics. Matter of fact, the comics were 10 cents. So every month you get $1 from an aunt that liked you or something like that, and you go down to the store. And I went with my best friend John. He'd buy 10 comics. I'd buy 10 comics. We'd sit on the stoop, which for those people who live in farms, Matt Woods, is, a place that you walk up the steps to the entrance to a brownstone or something like that. We sit out there and we'd read our comics and trade them and look at them. And you get other friends to do that. And so it was great until it got to be 12 cents. And then we couldn't buy 10 comics anymore. So we were all PO'd over that. But we still got comics and we traded them. So it was a great time. So at that time, when that came in, 1960 or so forth, I was wondering about all these other characters that were there, some of them from the Golden Age, some of them that just came out in the Showcase magazine. So the first comic that I want to show that I picked up was a great comic. Let's see if I get this. Can you guys see it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's Secret Origins #1. All right. And what it did was it had let's see. Here we go. So it had and I wrote them down so I don't forget. It had the origin of Adam Strange from Showcase 17, Green Lantern from Green Lantern #1, Challenges of the Unknown from Showcase #6, John Johns, The Flash from Showcase #4, Wonder Woman from Wonder Woman 105, and the Superman Batman team up from World's Finest #94. So to me, this was kind of an introduction to a lot of these characters that I didn't really, I knew about, but I needed to tell how did they get their powers? How did they get together? So this was a great comic. It's in decent shape. It's got some split spine and stuff like that because we used to just throw it in the corner.
Right. So there was no idea back then about preserving stuff or that it'd be worth anything at any point.
Now, when I saw, and if you guys saw my when Matt Woods and I went to Comic-Con in Providence, Rhode Island. We met Roy Thomas, and I spoke to him a little bit about it because I traded letters with him, actually with his mother and with him back in the early 60s. He told me that he had actually had a piece of original Justice League of America art that he had cut all the panels out. We were talking about the fact that who the heck knew that these things are going to be worth so much money today? Nobody knew. Bags and boards, I don't think existed at that point in time, unless you went to the Library of Congress or something like that. I mean, so it was all new stuff, and it's just a big change from back in the early 60s. So that was a great one. Now, before we got on, I was talking to Gary about some stuff that he was doing, and we talked about Wally Wood. So the next comic that I'm going to show is an interesting one because it came from a company called Tower Comics that was just in business for about 4 years. And the owner of Tower Comics liked Wally Wood as well. So what he did was he went to Wally Wood and he said to Wally Wood, come over, make up whatever comics you want. You could do whatever you want, however you want it, and I'll publish them, under your name. So where I lived in New York City, could never find the Tower Comics. But when I went to visit my aunt and uncle in Staten Island, around the corner at the candy store, they carried it. And so this is the first. It's Thunder Agents by Wally Wood. All right. Go on this side here, right? And there's a whole bunch of characters here that come out in this one. There's obviously the Dynamo is the kind of the Superman of the group. We have, I don't know if you could see him here, but we have No Man, who's like a scientist in a robot body. And this guy Mentor here, I think he died about 3 issues in because he was pretty boring. They brought in like somebody at Lightning, which had super speed, Raven, and a few others that were there. I think I have the entire run. I think, I'd have to go back and see them, and I'll do a show on that on my channel. We'll go through them and give a little bit more history about that. But and Thunder stood for, I got to read this, the Higher United Nations Defense Enforcement Reserves.
So they were a mouthful before Shield was a mouthful.
So they weren't the main group. They were the reserve group.
Apparently, they were sent in when it was necessary. The thing that made Dynamo so good is that belt he had on. When he turned it on, it gave him like super strength. But every time he turned it on, he would lessen his. He would die a little bit.
Okay.
And so at some point in time, he knew that he would just die.
Right. So
that
was short. Use your strength at short, expensive your life. DC later on would reuse that purpose with Gotham.
Right. So that made him a little bit more kind of like a sympathetic character to me.
I like the robots.
Although I always wanted to be Superman when I was a kid, I didn't want to be Dynamo because I didn't want to die. So that was it. Okay. Now, I had another show on.
Those not long ago too, right?
Excuse me?
I said I think I got the reprints of those.
Yes. What happened is they tried to relaunch them a few times. I got a few of them here. Then one of the comic book companies got the rights and did do reprints of them as well. And the Wally Wood art is just great. He's one of the best that was out there in my view. So it was just like super to have that there. Now, the next two actually are kind of interesting because I had a show on my channel where I over the space of I think 3 shows, because there were so many, I mentioned and I showed that I had found a box in my basement here that when we had moved here in 1999, it was just a moving box, that you can get it like a Home Depot type of thing. I had put in the basement and had forgotten about it. So it was down there for 22 years. And I was trying to clean up stuff. And I said, what's this? And I said, wow, And so it's pretty interesting shows if you want to look them up. So I have 2 books from there. So the first one is, let me get my glasses on so I can see better. Okay. So the first one is Batman number 241. All right. Now, the idea with Batman 241, the reason I just pulled this out is because it's just Neil Adams. I mean, we talked about him for a long time. I mentioned on my channel that I had seen him a number of times at the New York Comic-Con and discussed comic books with him and so forth. But this to me is one of my favorite Neil Adams covers. You know,
it's a great cover.
It's a great cover, and
very dynamic.
And one thing you may not know is if you take a look at the Batman trade, this was the first in a series where they separated Bat and Man. Okay.
Oh.
All right. It's the first one. I'm almost 99.5% sure. And then I don't know how long it lasted, but it lasted for a while until they went back to just saying Batman as one word. So this was the Batman, you know, kind
as
of
opposed to Batman.
As opposed to Batman. Yeah.
So, but this is just such a great cover.
Very good.
And it's just kind of my Neil Adams thing. And Denny O'Neil was writing some really great stories here as well. Yeah. The next one was also in that box. I didn't know I had it. It's not in the greatest of shape. I might try to fix it up a little bit and see whether or not it made some sense, maybe to send it in to be graded and encapsulized. But the next one is Batman number 234, so it predates at 241, and it's the first Silver Age appearance of Two-Face. And it was his first appearance, I think, since 1954. At this time, this was in August of 1971. All right. The other one was May of 1972. So it had, and also has a flashback to his origin, since people hadn't seen him since 1954. Another great, you know, cover. And notice it's the Batman and Robin.
All one word again. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, I'm not sure whose idea it was to make it two separate words in this particular one, but I would guess it was Neil Adams, you know, that decided to do that. And I just made it so much better in my view. So that's the next one there. Okay. Now, what some people, I know some of my friends that are watching this thing and taking a look at it saying, Joe's a DC guy. Joe's a DC guy. Well, I was in the early 60s primarily a Marvel guy. I mean, I love Stan Lee, Kirby, Ditko. I would buy all their comics and so forth.
You were in New York. All the stories were right around the corner.
Right around the corner. You can go see. I mean, if you looked hard enough, you could see Spider-Man, you know, with you know swinging down Fifth Avenue and stuff like that. So, with respect to that, it was only when I got back into comics, I tried to get back into Avengers and X-Men. I didn't know what was going on. It's just too confusing. I didn't like it. The only one that I did like was Spider-Man, until somebody named Spencer came in, but. That's another story. But anyway,
it's okay to hate it even before that. There was a clones.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. It was okay. But I got back in about 2007 or so and started recollecting Spider-Man at that time. So what I wanted to show was the very first Spider-Man comic book that I bought. And that was this one. Right?
Oh, you nice. Son of a gun.
So I bought, this is number 9. I bought number 9 because my best friend John and some other people were saying, you got to buy Spider-Man. I said, Spider who? I knew who it was. So I said, okay. And so I missed all the prior ones. So I said to myself, now around the corner from my house, in my apartment building in the West Village in Manhattan and there were plenty of these stores around, were these used bookstores. And the guy in the used bookstore used to buy comics from kids for 2 cents and sell them for 5, right? So I started looking for the prior comics. And I only was able to find one, unfortunately, during that time. And not in the greatest shape. It only cost me 5 cents. And it was Spider-Man number 5.
Ooh.
So
you're hitting Rob right in the heart.
I wish I had found some others. But so this is my oldest Spider-Man, I guess. And instead of spending 10 cents, I spent 5. So that's
it's worth a few more nickels today in any condition.
Yeah, I know. Even in poor shape, it would be worth some more. Yeah.
It's worth even more though, just as a collector, having it in your PC.
Right. So when I have 2 shows on my early Spider-Man as part of the comics my mom let me keep. And when Rob watched them, the first part is the Ditko ones, and the second part are the
John Romita.
Yeah. So Rob wrote to me and said or posted, you should get them all slammed because they're going to be worth money. You can sell them easily. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea, except it would cost me a fortune to do this at this point in time.
Right.
Yeah, Squirrel Madness, Wayne, 25 cents. People have offered me even $1 for that comic. Come on. So Spider-Man.
How about a shekel? Has anyone offered you a shekel?
So Spider-Man at that time, was one of my favorites, but I did collect, X-Men, Avengers, Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. So sometimes people ask me, like, what's your favorite Spider-Man comic? And I go back to that time because I have a lot of newer comics, and when I decided to put these comics together, I decided I would just go with the old Raw comics, with the exception of one that I'll show at the end. So because I thought that would be ones that people would be more interested in seeing. But to me, the one Spider-Man comic that I really, really loved was this one.
Oh,
it's Spider-Man number 33.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people, now people continue to say, I've seen this on a bunch of lists as the best cover and all of that, but I have a whole different story for this as to why I thought it was really important. As a kid, teenager, I guess, here at this point in time, the whole story just hit me, it continued from the prior issue, right? And he's in there, he's got this super weight on him, and he needs to get this medication to save his Aunt May, his only family, basically, that's there. And he finds within him the fortitude, to do something he's never done before. Is basically lift up all this weight that he never was able to do before. If you look at Key Collector, it says he developed super strength or something like that, right? And he always had kind of a spider strength, I guess, but now he had super strength. But the point was, he did all of this because he was looking to do this for his Aunt May. He knew that he was the only one that could save her. And so he did that. And the splashes and the way Ditko built this up is just, I'm getting chills just now thinking about it. It really hit me, this comic, this story. And Ditko's art was just stupendous when you end up at the end, when he finally lifts the whole thing up. It's
it's great. I remember reading that as a kid, and it still sticks to me to this day.
Yeah. It's like anybody else. I don't know. I'm sure you guys would be the same thing, but I would do anything for my family, And so this just hit home to me because I know my father and my mother worked in factories. They saved up for me to go to college. All that stuff was going through my head, saying this is what you do for family. This is how you do it. You do the impossible, because it's your family and you need to do it.
No, that's one of those books that. It's one of those books that all I saw was just 2 square inches of it off to the side there, and I knew instantly which book that was. You're pulling off. It's like just like
you picked it up. Okay, so did I go through the 10 already? I think, or no? Yeah.
No, I think you've only done 6.
I've only done 6. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so the next one, I just thought I'd show an X-Men one that I had. I haven't shown this on my channel yet, but this was pretty cool. I had this one in my collection, and I, because of basically, Wanda and Scarlet Witch and so forth, I just picked this one up.
Oh wow!
Right.
Oh yeah, that's a good work. Yeah.
And although she's green on the cover, she turns red in the story. So this is the second appearance of a lot of Magneto, but first appearance of a bunch of others and so forth. So it's a pretty cool comic book to have. What is it? The first appearance of Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Mastermind, Toad, second for Magneto, and so forth. And I don't know why she's green here. It must have been
they mixed up the colors a lot by accident back then too, though.
Some of that, and characters were drawn before everyone was working in silos sometimes.
That's right.
You're working on your art. You're designing something. Oh, this looks kind of cool. No one tells you that. Oh, her name's the Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Wow, not the Emerald Witch.
The Emerald Witch.
Damn it.
maybe it was her sister, and she just stood in for it.
That's right.
Okay, so that's the X-Men. I also wanted to show an Avengers comic book that I had. And this particular comic book just kind of, because the Avengers were kind of the answer to the Justice League. And I have almost the entire run of Volume 1 of the Justice League. That was kind of my jam, really. And I was going to show some Justice League ones, but I really wanted to go back to my Marvel days to show the comic books. So this one kind of solidified it for me. All right. Again, remember being close to the golden age of comics, right, and having a real interest in some of the golden age characters. That was important to me. So when I saw this one, it was just lights out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, that was it. It was, a matter of fact, when I came back into comics, the first comic book I bought was the Avengers. And I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it.
But Psychedelic's asking you, all those you bought off the rack.
Yeah, off the rack. So this was really, really, really good.
And that's still pretty white.
This one has a story. This one actually has another story behind it, as well as the Magneto X-Men one. But I'm not going to divulge it here.
Ooh,
all right.
A teaser.
You have to keep watching your channel to find out.
Right. It's a really, really interesting story, I have to tell you. But I can't give that away here. I just can't.
That's okay.
All right. This is a good book, though. Now, I want to go back to DC because one of my favorite characters is Batgirl. All right.
Oh, nice.
And I always liked her. I got to find some more Batman or Detective Comics that have her, especially the ones that come after this one. But Gail Simone, when she did the run on Batgirl, I have all of those. She just knocked it out of the park on that, and to me, it just made me kind of love her more, with respect to that. So so this was one of my DC ones that I wanted to pick out, just to show people.
And I still like that costume the best.
Yeah, it's a good costume. Good costume.
Swear.
And the story's pretty good. I actually took it out and read it about 6 months ago. Just to I was kind of remembered it. I couldn't quite remember it, so let me just take a look at it and so forth. So,
good comic book. Joe.
It's in decent shape too, I have to say. Because she's one of my girls. You have to keep my girls good. You know what I mean? I can't let them become like that.
It's definitely the hottest episode of the 10-1-1 so far.
Okay. All right. Now, I guess the 10th one. I showed this on my channel on my very first The Comics My Mom Let Me Keep show way back. But this is another comic book that just blew me away when I saw it. Again, remember, you had
mark the tape. He just hit 20.
I did. I saw.
You hit 20? There you go. 25. Call up people on chat. Get people in here. 25.
Hey, but make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button too while you're at it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt, please. So one of the things again was the introduction of the new heroes, right? And so the Flash was a big one. I wish I had that showcase, but I don't. But I enjoyed some of the Flash comic books, especially where he teamed up with Green Lantern. That was kind of fun to me. All right, and I have a bunch of those. But this one, and unfortunately, it's in pretty poor shape. But this one was one that I just went crazy on. It's missing a big piece up here.
I swear, Joe's showing off books I only have facsimiles of. You son of a gun.
This is another one that's in poor shape, but even in poor shape, it's worth some cash. But this, and I took this out and I read this story again when I did my show on it, on this and a few other Flash comic books from the 60s that are on that show. And when I read it, I remembered a lot of interesting things about that. And of course, he's there. His girlfriend is having some sort of a party or something, and the magician couldn't show up. So she asks Barry, I don't know what to do. Barry says, hey, you know what? I'm a policeman. I can get a hold of the Flash. The Flash can come and entertain the kids. So the Flash goes, uses all this super speed stuff to entertain the kids, starts vibrating in all these different ways, and suddenly finds that he's no longer in this place with these kids. He looks around, he sees a city, looks kind of familiar to him. He doesn't know where it is or what's going on. So in that respect, he goes on and kind of all of a sudden something pops in his head. He goes and looks in the phone book, because they did have phone booths in those days with phone books in them. And he finds, Jay Garrett. And he realizes this looks like Keystone City, which was in the comic books he read as a kid that had the Flash, and the comic books were written by Gardner Fox, who once said that these stories came to him in dreams. So he goes, Jay Garrick had retired, but the Shade and a few other people had come in and started some sort of crime wave. So Barry helps Jay, and they beat them up and so forth. And so Barry then goes back and decides he's going to go visit Gardner Fox at that time National Periodical Publications offices on Madison Avenue, and tell him that it really exists, and that the stories that he had gotten in his dreams was basically him somehow accessing Earth 2. Wow. So really interesting story written by Gardner Fox, who also wrote the original Flash stuff. And the key here was, this was really the first mention of the multiverse, and Earth 2 was brought into play at this particular thing as well. So, people are smart, probably might have come up with it later on, but here you're going back, and this was, the date on this was September of 1961. So multiverse, 1961. Right. That was the start.
Origin.
And some of the JLA books, some of the Justice League ones, when the Justice Society came in, I was going to show a few of those. I decided to put them aside. Maybe if I come on again, I'll show some of those comics. But on this respect, this was just, one of the pride. Even though I wish it was in better shape, but I don't care. It's one of the pride and joys of my collection, really.
Yeah, no, it should be.
And I was gonna say, yeah, it should be. Fantastic book.
So those are the 10, right?
Awesome sauce.
So now I think I'm supposed to show
one
with a story around it. Yes, okay. But an expanded story.
Oh, and this is an expanded story.
Buckle up, boys. We're in for a long haul.
But I'm not gonna give it all away either. I'll do the best I can. So I'm starting the story now. And I'm going to show 3 comics because they kind of go together. Okay. Is that all right, Gary? Or is that
is absolutely perfect.
Okay, good. And before I do, since this is a kind of an espresso show. All right, good. I needed that. So people have heard me talk about my best friend, John. All right. John was more of a comic aficionado than I was. He knew what day to go and wait for the Batman annual to come out. We'd be sitting on the curb waiting for the truck to come to deliver the comics and stuff. I had no clue. He's like, Joe, comics today. Let's go. I don't think it was Wednesdays like those, but he used to find out about it. Tuesdays. Well, the reason I think he knew all of that is because his uncle owned a newspaper stand. Oh. Okay. So his uncle had the inn and knew when these things were going to come out. So anyway, so we collected, as I mentioned, we sat on the stoop, we traded, we did all that type of stuff. So here we go. We both graduate from grammar school, and we are going to go to high school. We went to 2 separate high schools. So here we are now. We graduated in 64, started high school in September of 64. I'd say it was probably around that time, don't know the exact date. So John comes over to me and says, Joe, unlike my mother, who in 1969 said I had to get rid of some of my comics, his mother said, you know what? You have to get rid of all your comics. You're now going to high school. You have to get rid of your comics. So John went ahead and sold me his comics. Let me show you the 3 out of the group that I'm going to show you that he sold to me. Then I'll finish the story.
All right.
Okay. So first one was Fantastic Four number 3 or 4. I forget which one this is. It's because I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. Fantastic Four #3. So this is my oldest Fantastic Four. It has first appearance of the Fantastic Four in costume. It has the Baxter Building, the Fantastic Car, and the Fantasticopter, I guess it's called. In this. So Fantastic Four #3. Avengers #2.
Ooh.
So there you go. All right. Avengers #2 is just second appearance. A bunch of people, and the Hulk leaves. Stayed for one, and then he says, "Get out of there, guy." You know, Master Blaster. It's my comic. I could do one hand. Tell your wife it's okay. And the third of the examples of what I got from him is X-Men #2. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So, pretty good books, right?
Yeah,
So
it was a good buy.
They might be a pretty impressive set. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they were all from it's 1961, I guess, right? So here's the story. So he gets his collection, all right, shows them to me, and so I bought from him whatever he had back in around September 65, October, something like that. Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. Now for Avengers and X-Men, you notice that I had #2.
Right.
I don't have #1. John had #1. Now you would think in the best of all worlds, John would have kept #1s, right? But no, his mother said, John, you got to get rid of all your comics. So here I am. I get the comics from John, and I ask him, oh, before I mentioned that, I forgot one important part of the story. I paid him 2 cents each for each one of these. Okay. Hey, that was big money back in those days, right?
Right.
Okay. So John never gave me #1. He said that he had promised them to his cousin. It's okay. So when the Shazam movie came out, his wife is into like the superhero movies. My wife runs the other way. You know, if I go to see a superhero movie and she comes with me, she goes sees another movie, right? And we meet afterwards, right? But his wife wanted to go see Shazam, and I wanted to go see it with him too. So let's get together, see Shazam. So my wife grudgingly said, okay, since John's wife is going, I'll come too. So we got to dinner afterwards. So I reminded him about this, and he was okay with it. He understood, and he was happy that I had the comic books. I said, but John, you didn't give me the #1s, right? So yeah, the triple, I got quadruple. I've heard that. I've heard these before, guys. I understand. So what happened was I tell John, you didn't give me the #1s. He goes, why didn't I give you the #1s, Joe? I said, because you promised him to your cousin, and I mentioned his cousin's name. And he went, oh my God. I said, what? He goes, he probably threw them out. And I said, what? He threw them out. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, I wish I had those damn comics.
Right.
But he promised them to his cousin back then, and that was it. So I was this close to having the #1s for those, but it didn't work out that way. Hopefully his cousin didn't throw them out, but John might be right. With respect to that.
Probably knows his cousin pretty good.
I'd say.
Oh, that's a tragedy. But those books you own are not a tragedy. So
no, I'm really happy I have them. I really am. So yeah, no, Chris, I know.
No.
Anyway, so those are my 10 plus 1. So that brings us to the spec book.
Yes, sir.
So now, this spec book, I didn't really buy it as a spec book, okay? But I figured it would be more valuable as time went on. So back after Stan Lee died, Marvel, Marvel bought didn't buy, actually has a 99-year lease with the New Amsterdam Theater on 42nd Street. They have been trying to redo that theater, which I think was built in 1903 as part of the 42nd Street Times Square renewal project. All right. And they just couldn't get it done. And so the city of New York, who owns it, made a deal with Disney saying, we'll give you a 99-year lease and you help us fix this thing up. Okay. And they did. And it reopened in 1997, beautiful theater and so forth. So when Stan Lee died, they had an event at that theater. The theater seats about 1,800 people roughly. And there is, I searched far and wide because ABC, which obviously Disney owns, had a 1-hour special where a bunch of people were there. I think, Clark Gregg was the MC, and I made my list here, like Tom Hiddleston, Charlie Cox, Joe Quesada, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Chris Claremont. A bunch of people showed up and said some nice things about Stan Lee. And then there were different things that they showed. They even showed clips of Stan, and so forth. So it was a tribute to him. So everyone that appeared, that went to that tribute, got a special book. Ooh. Do you know about this book?
I do not.
This special book was given out to employees of Marvel that went there, the stars and so forth. And the employees of Marvel were told that if they sold this book on the secondary market, they would be immediately fired. Okay. Within a week, 4 books sold and 7 were on sale. Now, I don't know if it was the employees or not, but I love Stan Lee and everything he did. And if you search, you can find that show. Not a great quality. I think they probably taped it off a TV set or something like that. But it's worth watching. So I looked for that book and I bought a copy of it. Adam Kubert cover right here. It's a limited edition. I'm sure other people have it as well. I spent about $500 for it.
Wow.
That was kind of the going rate. So I haven't looked recently. I think with CGC says it's probably worth somewhere between $500 and $600 or something like that. But I decided to see whether it was for sale right now and how much people were getting. So I looked for it. I just found 3. One raw was $899.99 or best offer. A 9.8 CBCS, buy it now, was $1,900, and a 9.8 CGC with a Spidey label. The guy wants $4,588 for it, which might be a little high. So the FMV, I think I made a mistake. The FMV is 1,250 according to CGC. Anyway, I didn't look anywhere else. So the capacity is 1,702. So I'm thinking maybe there's a couple of thousand out there, of this book. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm not going to open it up. But
no, that's fine.
When I got it, I did flip through it very gingerly. And it does have reprints of some, Stan Lee written, comic books. It has testimonials from people in there as well. And it's just to me, it's just a great book to have. And I'm happy that, I was able to find one and to get one of these. So it wasn't really a spec book per se, but I think as a practical matter, showing this to my son, I said, just hold on to this one. All right. And just see what happens like 10 or 20 years from now.
Right. Now, who did the cover on that? Because it's beautiful. Oh, I knew you said it. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. He did the cover on that. And you could find pictures of this in the covers there as well. So this is, now I had other spec books I have bought a couple of other books on spec. Not too many because I don't do too much of that. I only buy it if I think I like it anyway and I might want to keep it. So, but this is one that I thought would be kind of cool since I wasn't showing any slabs. I thought this was a good one to show with respect to a spec book.
Yeah.
And that's one I've never seen before. It's awesome. Have you seen that before, Rob?
I actually have. Yeah, I didn't realize how much it was going for, and much of the story behind it, but I have seen it before, and I always kind of said, "Why do people want so much damn money for that damn thing?" Now I understand.
Right?
Yeah. Now so it was. Yeah, I have down here. New Amsterdam Theater has a capacity of 1,702 seats. So I'm thinking, there's probably some extras. It probably gave things out to employees. So I don't know, 2,000, 2,500, whatever it happens to be. But to me, it's just one. I'm going to keep it. So it doesn't make much difference to me at this point in time.
Oh man, such a great piece, and just a piece of history too.
Well, that's it. And I thought, to me, that was kind of an important part of it too. I'm big on history. If you watch my channel, I get a lot into the history of stuff that's there. So to me, this was just kind of a significant book to have. And I don't go out too much to buy significant books and stuff like that, because frankly, my wife would kill me if I'd spent the money that I want to spend. This is one that I just wanted to, I had some cash and I said, I'm buying this book. That's it. So that's it, guys. Too bad. If we had a 5-hour show, I have another 150 books I could show you, but
well, that's okay. There's second, third, and fourth appearances you can make, Joe.
I have plenty, so we could do it again.
Great googly moogly. And now you're at 22 viewers right now. There you go. Look at that.
We got up to 25 though, Joe.
We did. All right.
Hey,
that was my goal. Thank you, everyone that showed up. All my palsies and others too. I appreciate it.
Are they called the Chronics or the Annas? What are your?
No. I don't think they want to be called the Chronics. I think that would be
maybe they do.
Maybe they do. All right, guys. I'm really I'm happy to show the books. I'm glad that people liked them, and hopefully it was enjoyable.
Oh, it was super enjoyable. Those were fantastic. I know Rob was having a great time over there.
But he curses at me every time I show these books.
I curse with you because they're so beautiful.
Right. And not only do you have those books,
you earned those books. You earned them the old-fashioned way.
Right. That's right.
You mowed lawns. You did chores, and you earned your money so you could go buy those books.
That's right. I worked at the Corona grocery store, running bags up to old ladies in buildings, running up 3 floors, to get 25 cents. To get 25 cents.
It was a hustle back then.
It was. But I had a nice aunt who would now and then give me a roll of pennies that was 50 cents.
Right.
And you got them.
We tried to visit her as often as I could.
You got them in that My Light.
Right.
Whereas my kids that don't do anything just go, Daddy, I need something. I need a computer. I need tuition. I need that. The car needs gas. Did I drive it?
Well, my daughter just finished medical school, right? So I helped her out with that. And
she stuck you with a bill for a medical exam?
Now she's starting a residency at Boston Medical Center. I'm actually driving up to her. We just moved her in last week, And at my age, I told her, next time you move, it's not me. It's not me.
There's guys you can hire for that.
Right. It's a walk up, up the stoop, up another floor. Then you open the door and you got to go up another floor.
No,
come on.
It's a young man's game.
That's right. So, but I have to go back up there to help her now put on her air conditioner and her drapery rods and the rest of that stuff. So I'm going to go up there in a day or so and do that as well. So, they're your kids. It's like that Spider-Man 33, whatever, you do what you can for them. That's it.
Yeah, you do. What are you going to do, right?
You do what you can.
That's right. Joe, those were awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know it took a while for us to get you on the show.
Yeah. Well, I had to be here so I could pull out my books.
And before we get to thanking the chat, we're going to see what Rob's got coming up on his channel.
Sure, but I always want to say one thing because Joe and I share a connection, Sarah. So if the one thing I've never actually mentioned is my true comic first, my connection was always Pedro.
How about how about in the back of the book? I would always read the corny jokes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To my wife and my kids, and they would just say, "Stop, stop, stop."
Yeah.
We know people.
The
That
first
people
thing,
that are
first
know
things
what
you
we're
did,
talking
you
about.
picked it up. You want to read Pedro, the jokes, then Scouts in Action, and we're talking about Boys Life for Boy Scouts.
Rob was very nice. He sent me some scouting paraphernalia too at one point in time that he had. So it's kind of nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rob's a good guy.
Don't spread that rumor.
It's surprising.
People start to expect things. But anyways, Gary, I appreciate
you, but he's got a big old heart.
Yeah, enlarged heart. My doctor's telling me I got to do something about that. Let me tell you.
I love being on with you guys. So I really appreciate you asking me.
We appreciate you, bud. This is always fun when we get to hang out. I'm sorry, Rob. What have you got, buddy?
Oh, I got a box opening on Thursday, like I always do. This week, I think it's some CGC books that came back from Signatures. To be unboxed. Saturday, of course, is Slam Hub. We have Comic Mag's Musings on as our guest this week on Slam Hub, and then the cycle will continue with box openings on Mail Call Mondays and another Thursday Odd Things, and then Saturday Slam Hub again.
Nice.
You'll see a lot less of me over the next 2 weeks. I won't be on everybody's streams for the next couple until July again, because of taking vacation.
So with the comic vet taking over, Rob, should we like not watch so that the numbers go down a little bit and you can come back and tell
how great I am? No, absolutely not. I absolutely would. I'm going to try actually to see if Princess's best internet on the ocean will let me.
I tried that once. That's not going to work.
Show up at all. It'll really depend upon whether or not on Saturday I'm in port. I think I might be in Juneau, in which case then I can get some internet.
Well, I'm doing that in Europe. I'm doing around the Mediterranean.
Nice.
I think it's October or November. I forget now.
Yeah,
so I'll be checking that out as well.
Yeah, some of those bigger ones are when I get my retirement. Unfortunately, I don't get to retire till my wife's gets her pension. So,
right. So somebody asked a question. You mind if I answer it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Back there, you have Sport Magazine cover with Mickey Mantle on it. Ronald Reagan is there. I've been to his ranch and so forth a bunch of times, and which magazine is that? That's Saturday Evening Post. And then over to the side, I was big sports guy. I still like sports, but I used to get all the magazines, and the Sporting News was one as a baseball fan used to have to get before the internet, because you'd have all the statistics there and everything every week. And that was something that I had held on to, and I found next to that box of comics, I found a box of other things, and I found these things. And that was an insert to Sporting News celebrating Babe Ruth's 100th birthday. So I just framed those and put them up there.
That's awesome. Psychedelic Comics 1011 does have a meaning, and it's not a phone number to call in case you want to know where to dig or you want comics delivered to your home, although that would be kind of cool. Yeah. But instead, we'll let Gary explain the meaning of 1011.
Well, good, because I wanted to plug it anyway. So this show is booked up through August right now, but if there's anyone in the audience that would like a spot on a future episode of the 1011, please message me on Instagram and let me know you're interested. And what is the 1011? Well, the 1011 is I have a guest on. Rob's usually my co-host, and that guest shows 10 of their favorite books. Not their 10 favorite, just 10 books that are favorites in their collection. Could be from any time or era. An 11th book, that's where the first one comes in, with an extended story that's usually personal to them. And then the last book is a spec pick. So you got 10, 1, and 1.
Not to be concept. Yeah. And they, as you saw here, they can be raw, unlike me and my Mean Store show where we don't let people with raw books on.
Yeah, and guys here, especially some of the guys that came over from me, you know, if you haven't subbed to Rob, besides having a big heart, he's got a great YouTube channel. And Gary is just one of the best people around.
The dude is so selfless, it's ridiculous.
I know, and he has a great. And he's simpatico with Matt Woods. He's a Conan guy, for Pete's sakes, you know.
We don't hold that against him, though.
Conan is life.
Gary, the one thing I still feel bad about is you couldn't meet Matt and me in Providence, Rhode Island that night.
I know, it would have been so good
with Roy Thomas. That would have been just so epic. That would have been, but maybe some other time.
But that book I got sent from you, I'll have that back soon. It went out for grading with Roy's signature on it. Can't wait.
Yeah, awesome. Matt Woods won that, you know, and we talked about it. We said, I think Gary, you know, so we felt bad that you weren't there, you know. So that was it
wowed me.
That's good.
And coming up on my channel, and then we'll get to Joe. Tomorrow night, you'll see
Captain Action.
Ed Catto is going to be on my channel, a one-on-one interview with him and what he's got going on. He's also an ambassador for Aftershock Comics. So I'm going to be talking one-on-one with Ed Catto. And then on Thursday, we have Ignacio on, who is a fantastic artist in the community, doing some great collaborations with Whack Comics. And we'll be sitting down and talking with Ignacio on Thursday. So we got a full week of live shows planned for you guys. And this is where Joe and I were talking about Wally Wood. Wally Wood and Gil Kane did the first 5 issues of this. Wally Wood the first 2, and Gil Kane the last 3.
The old golden age, or
yes, sir. Joe, what's coming up for you, buddy?
Well, I think Bruno's going to make an appearance tomorrow. I've refused to buy any more mystery boxes, so he actually bought his own mystery box. He's going to show it tomorrow.
He's got to pay his own way.
And I have coming up also, I basically try to look for one big book for me, man, I'd be good for other people every year. You know, I have a few of them. I look for some that, you know, good grade, reasonable price. And I happened to find my 2022 book, and that's coming up soon. Other than that, I got some pretty interesting things that I'm going to go over. I'm preparing right now. That's going to come out in the next few weeks. So you're just going to have to tune in and watch and see what comes up. But you're going to be pretty interesting. Some older stuff, and I do have another comics my mom let me keep coming up in the next couple of weeks, probably. It likely will be Charlton Comics.
Ooh.
I have a bunch of Charlton comics from back in the day that I bought off the rack. So it might be that because I happened to put them together and I saw there was a nice stack there. I said, why not do these?
We're going to see some
that might be it, I think. So.
And are you going to have that video coming up soon about that one book you said had a further story that was going to debut on your channel?
I don't know how soon I'm going to get it because I need to get somebody else involved, and that's the difficult part of it. Yeah. But nice. Anyway,
wow.
But I gave him almost all the story away. You know, just as things that I haven't. So
don't say things like that. You can give away 99% of the story as long as you got 2 extra minutes. You can go back to theatrical release and get another $100 million. That's what I did. By Marvel.
The director's cut, right?
That's right. You put up a good teaser. People are going to show up to watch and see what they're missing.
It's just worth watching these things because you get to see these comics in the raw state, like I showed today.
Yeah,
and I mean, it amazes me that these comics still exist in whatever shape they're in. You know, in my longer short boxes, it's just amazing. I'm just so thankful that I managed to hold on to them, you know, through, 41 years of marriage, 2 kids, and moving a bunch of times, and they still exist. So that's really, to me,
amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow. Awesome.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure,
and
guys. Thanks,
everyone in the chat tonight. Thank you so much for giving Joe a record turnout and coming out to support Joe and the channel. Rob and I certainly enjoyed having you guys here, and any of you catching this on the rewind, and any of you in the chat. Their links are in the description. Please sub up both these guys if you haven't already. And wow, excellent show, Joe. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you, everyone. And I just want to say, keep it casual, and we'll catch you on the next one.